Cautious of construction. Be aware of this bridge that may impact your commute in Iowa City.
Cultural celebrations. The Indigenous community in Iowa City shows off their colors, music, and dance.
Back in black, the Hawkeyes show off their new offense during their spring practice.
Windy weather and warming temps. Typical spring weather is here to stay in Iowa City. I'll have more on wind speeds and temperatures ahead.
All that and more
coming up right now on DITV.
Good morning from Iowa City. It's Monday, April 22nd, and I'm Hannah Lipsky.
And I'm David Consuelos.
And the third member of our team, DITV's Grace Lathrop, is live outside to tell us today's weather story.
Grace, we've had some cooler days this weekend. Will the week have a similar feel?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we will have somewhat of a similar feel. As you can see behind me, the trees are in full bloom, which means spring is upon us. I'm live on campus now where it's currently 45 degrees. This week, the temperature should reach up to about the high 60s, which will be a little bit warmer. Today expects to reach a high of 68 and a low of 52, while Tuesday will have a high of 67 and a low of 39 degrees. And be sure to keep those jackets handy, as today and tomorrow are expecting wind speeds around 20 miles per hour. Now, across Iowa City, summer construction is kicking off. DITV's Claire Green is live at the construction site with more of the information of these major changes.
That's right, Grace. As you can see behind me, they already started construction on the bridge that covers Ralston Creek. This bridge was built in 1972. The Gilbert Street Replacement Project will remove and replace the 4 lanes of concrete, add 6-foot sidewalks with barrier rails, and water improvements for the creek below. The signs have been up for the past few weeks, alerting drivers and pedestrians of the inconvenience, and there are already detours set up on either side of the bridge. The construction is expected to last through the fall. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Claire. Governor Kim Reynolds signed a new legislation that would allow teachers to carry guns in schools on Friday. This new school security bill would allow teachers to carry guns on school grounds and give them qualified immunity, which is normally reserved for law enforcement. This bill faced much concern for how it would affect student safety.
It does nothing to protect children who might be the victim of crossfires, of accidents, of a gun not being properly stored, or a curious student finding a gun and accidentally injuring other children.
Saturday marked the end of the legislative session, and any bills not passed will be held off for future discussions. Several other bills were passed this session, many focusing on workforce, healthcare, education, and government spending.
Celebrating Native American culture, this year was the 28th annual powwow celebrating Indigenous culture in Iowa City. After seeing the attendance numbers rising from last year's event, this year's had to be moved to a larger venue. There are plenty of traditional foods, from Indian tacos to cotton candy, dancing, and a graduation to celebrate 6 Indigenous students here at Iowa. The dancing wasn't just for the performers, as members of the audience got to join the festivities, showcasing their dance moves during a friendly competition. The event encouraged everyone to join along and celebrate Native American culture. The powwow will look to continue to keep the attendance numbers rising into next year's event. And life after prison, the Inside Out re-entry community hosted a simulation to exhibit the tasks that people have to do after prison. DITV's Tara Gillespie talked to participants and volunteers about the impact of the demonstration.
It's been great, you know, for people to find out what people like myself and others go through once we come home from being incarcerated.
The Inside Out community aims to support individuals returning to the community after incarceration. The organization hosted a simulation to demonstrate what life is like on parole.
Being on parole is a lot of hard work. and there are so many pitfalls that it's so easy to fail.
Participants were given an identity and had to complete the day-to-day tasks of someone who is on parole. Some of these tasks included meeting with a parole officer, getting drug tested, and waiting in line for identification.
You know, you don't just get out and you have an ID and you have all of this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you have to wait in lines for, and it's a lot more difficult than people think.
The purpose of this simulation was for people to be generally aware of what former prisoners face and learn how to be more supportive. The general consensus of participants is that parole is much harder than it appears.
Folks are always really taken aback by how challenging it is. Whenever they do the simulation, I hear things about how much it has opened their eyes.
Inside Out hopes this will bring awareness to the community about the inner workings and hardships of the parole experience. From St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, Tara Gillespie, DITV.
The Iowa City Public Library hosted a storytelling session that was a little out of the ordinary yesterday. DITV's Kara Doolin was at the event to tell us what made it so unique.
This is a library, but it's not the kind you're used to. Instead of books, people are on loan for conversation here at Iowa City's 3rd annual Human Library, which was put on by the Living Memoir Project this year. At the library, readers could chat with different human books about a variety of topics, especially those tending to be subject to stigma or just a lack of awareness.
My goal is primarily to just bring awareness to asexuality, because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of stereotyping.
The goal of this project is to foster safe conversation about these topics and challenge stereotypes.
The idea is that they would come out of that conversation realizing, okay, there's a lot more that goes into this than I may have initially thought.
And while readers got to hear new perspectives, the books themselves also enjoyed sharing their own stories.
Really exciting because I see completely different people that are really interested in knowing about my story and obviously everyone else's story as well.
But talking about my own culture in a space where not many people know who I am, what I do, and how I live in this world, especially this state, is kind of something that's always interested me.
The library was certainly unconventional, but no less meaningful, and it will be back next year. From the Iowa City Public Library, Kara Doolin, DITV.
Running for a cause. Runners and supporters of veterans came together yesterday to run in a 5K. DITV's Assistant News Director, Johnny Valtman, has what the run was about and motivations for the participants.
Here at City Park, runners and walkers alike aim to participate in the Wingman's 500 to support soldier suicide prevention.
Go! We really wanted to do something where we could kind of bring the community, the student body, as well as the cadets of AFROTC Detachment 255 together.
Runners and walkers made their way through the park and along the Iowa River on a beautiful Sunday morning. Participants didn't show up only for the exercise, but the cause.
If you don't have that kind of support, you're doing a disservice to the people who are protecting the country.
Event organizers and runners alike joined the event in support of people close to them.
I've had family members that have served, so for that reason, I guess I kind of was biased towards the cause, I guess you could say, but yeah, I've always been a supporter of the troops and stuff like that.
The Wingmen for Wellness teamed up with another University of Iowa organization to put on the 2nd annual 5K.
I'm with Air Force ROTC Detachment 255, so this cause is really important and special to us, and a lot of our cadets also helped put on the event as well.
The average of veterans taking their lives daily has slowly declined, going from 22 in 2003 to 17 in 2023.
This is something that was close to home for us, and was something that we could really see where the difference is being made, and it was just something that we wanted to be a part of.
And as runners behind me cross the finish line, they'll be served to lunch after helping out a good cause and getting in a good workout. From City Park in Iowa City, Johnny Valtman, DITV.
Stay tuned. DITV was awarded more local student awards over the weekend.
But first, let's take a look back outside with DITV's Grace Lathrop for the forecast for the week ahead.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, the winds are here to stay, and they will be reaching double digits most days. Switching gears just a little bit to temperatures, Wednesday and Thursday will be in the 60s before Friday brings the rain with a mix of rainfall, thunder, and wind throughout the day. Saturday and Sunday will be scattered thunderstorms and will both have highs in the 70s and lows in the mid-50s. This is all typical April weather, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see more windy, rainy, and sunny days ahead. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Grace. Iowa football returned to the field this weekend during their annual spring practice on Saturday, giving Iowa fans an exclusive look into the season ahead. Although many veteran players are still in the black and gold, the offense is now led by Tim Lester.
But, there is a process to it, and I think we have seen, the biggest thing is that, week to week, practice to practice, we've seen improvement, and that's what you're hoping for. And certainly, by the time we get close to playing next August, we're going to have to be, a lot sharper than we were today.
Although it has been a process, the Hawkeye offense looked promising. Cade McNamara is still expecting to start as quarterback in the fall, despite him wearing a knee brace throughout the practice. McNamara is expected to be cleared by June, but Deacon Hill and Marco Lainez showed out for the backup position. The next time we'll see the Hawkeyes in Kinnick Stadium is on August 31st, where they will face Illinois State. And the Olympic trials took place over the weekend to determine who would have the chance to head to Paris this summer to represent Team USA. I have a further look on a former historic Hawkeyes goal to represent Iowa on the world stage.
If it wasn't for the Iowa Hawkeye program, supporting me, I'd probably be retired, to be honest with you guys. I've had such a tough time staying healthy and trying to compete the best of my ability. I'm still not healthy, but I'm healthy enough to wrestle hard.
In his time at Iowa, Spencer Lee cemented himself as one of the greatest to ever hit the mat. Although the three-time national champion fell short in his final season to make it 4 in a row, he is now chasing Olympic gold. Lee went into State College, Pennsylvania as the 4th seed in his weight class. He would march through the tournament to get to the trial final, facing off against former teammate and Hawkeye Thomas Gilman in a best-of-3 series. Spencer Lee would win the first match in a 6-3 decision and then pin Gilman in the second match to finish first at 125 pounds.
Close to a fall. Fall confirmed.
I wrestle for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I think most people are like, oh, he's only a first period wrestler, so I got to change you guys' opinion of me and become a full match wrestler and live up to that Iowa Hawkeye name, because right now if I'd wrestle Tom or Terry Brands in their prime, I don't know how I'd feel about myself, so.
Spencer Lee will now head to Istanbul, Turkey on May 11th to begin his World Olympic Games qualifiers. And the Iowa baseball team hosted a home series this weekend against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The Hawkeyes dominated the first 2 games, winning 8-1 on Friday, and they followed that up by scoring a season high against the Big Ten opponent in their 15-5 win on Saturday. So the Hawks were looking to complete the sweep yesterday, and they got off to an excellent start. Potential first-round pick Brody Breck started the game off for the Hawkeyes by striking out the entire side. Now in the bottom of the third, Raider Tello at the plate, and he launches a bomb into the outfield, bringing home 2 on the triple. He'd finish the day with 4 RBIs. But Tello is a two-way player, and at the top of the 5th, Raider dives out to make a play, fields it, spins, and delivers a rocket to get the out at first. Iowa would hold on to win 5-1. And the Iowa softball team looked to avoid the sweep against the Indiana Hoosiers. And this one was action-packed from the start. The Hoosiers got out to an early 2-0 lead at the top of the first, and then Torrey Bennett sends one right up the middle and ties things up at the end of the first. Indiana kept their foot on the gas, putting up 2 runs in the second and would hold a 5-2 lead in the bottom of the 4th. When the Hawks had the bases loaded, they could not capitalize, leaving the inning without a run. And then in the top of the 5th, Indiana hits a 2-run shot and puts a dagger into the Hawks, completing the sweep over Iowa with a 7-3 win.
And in some personal news, the Iowa Broadcast News Association Awards were this Saturday, and DITV brought home several awards in the student categories. DITV won 12 individual awards, including 4 first places, 5 second places, and 3 third place awards. In addition to our personal award winners, DITV also won first place in Best Newscast and Best Sportscast, an overall excellence for our work done in 2023. Thank you for joining us online or listening to KRUI 89.7 FM.
We are live here from Iowa City every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. and online anytime at thedailyiowan.com.
For Grace Lathrop and David Consuelos, I'm Hannah Lipsky. See you again on Wednesday morning right here on DITV.